You are welcome to yet another episode of LFN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. On February 13, 2020, the government filed a 13-count superseding indictment charging the R&B King with 4 counts of CP, 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct justice with regard to the 2008 trial, 3 counts of receiving the aforementioned CP, and 5 counts of inducement of minors. Before trial, R. Kelly's attorney Jennifer Bonjean filed a pretrial motion advising court to dismiss the charges from decades ago, as early as the 90s, citing the statute of limitations, but was never understood. The court was not able to refer back to what the law actually says when it comes to how long an accuser can take to report cases of this nature before their statute of limitations has expired, and instead carried on with the case, adamantly rejecting Bonjean's counsel. Subsequently, even though the majority of the 13 counts were thrown out the window with not guilty verdicts, R. Kelly was eventually found guilty on some of these in what Bonjean describes as a wrongful conviction that ignores what the U.S. federal laws actually suggest. The government and their court counterparts, who at that point seemed to think alike, were banking on the 2003 amendment, one which extended the statute of limitations for such cases to until the entire lifetime of the accusers, and forgot that the incidences being dealt with actually stem from as far back as in the mid and late 90s, and that at that time, the statute of limitations was suggesting otherwise. What the government and the court that was quick to reject Bonjean's pretrial motions did not remember was the principle of non-retroactivity, which states that a law can only be applied to an act that occurs after the law was adopted. And this is why it's said that ignorance of the law is indeed no defense, for if you clearly know the law, you are free to conduct any business within its guidelines with no fear that in case it's changed in future you may get caught. It's no wonder we have not seen individuals and companies that acquired their property and wealth decades ago when the laws were different lose their assets along the current advanced laws that have evolved over time. According to the existing statute of limitation back then, when the alleged acts are said to have been committed, the accusers only had before they clocked the age of 25 to raise their allegations and be heard in court. And this means that Jane's statute of limitations expired in September of 2009 when she turned 25, that for Nia in 2005 when she turned 25, and that for Pauline in October 2009 when she also turned 25 like the rest. In totality, therefore, all their statutes of limitations had expired by the 2009 when they all were 25 and over. And this rubbishes all their accusations being brought forward now, all because they were simply misled by government to believe they still had a chance, and later by the Chicago court, which was quick to dismiss Bonjean's counsel when she filed the most relevant pretrial motion of all. Throughout this case against R. Kelly, we have seen the government and trial courts play unfair and prejudice R. Kelly with total disregard of what the U.S. laws say. While Bonjean has only picked out some of these issues as the most relevant to argue out her case, there are very many other avenues R. Kelly could use to send the government arguments to the bin, arguments that largely bank on the assumption of impunity that saw them imagining they can abuse the laws of this land whenever and in whichever way they deem fit. Right from the word go, the court started off making decisions that were hard to explain, such as when he was denied bail for no clear reasons. Then came the leaking of his prison phone call and email conversations with his lawyers and girlfriends to the public in acts of witness tampering, and many more abuses of the laws of our land we shall not go into today. By insisting on trying R. Kelly decades later, even after the statutes of limitations of the accusers had expired, the government and trial judges insinuate that sooner than later they will be carrying out a legal audit of all entities and individuals who lived before new laws or amendments of old laws were put in place, in order to harmonize and punish anyone whose acts from the past could have been regarded as unlawful today. This could easily turn the whole country upside down to a point where even the Department of Justice, which implemented their operations according to the old laws, crumble with lawsuit after lawsuit. It's like saying all those who married their spouses when the age of consent was still 18 would have to divorce their wives and remarry them if an amendment suddenly changed this to 19, or even serve a prison sentence for their past action of marrying an 18-year-old even if they are already 30 or 40. We just can't keep working backwards with implementing the laws, and this is the purpose for the no retroactivity safeguard that again states that new laws apply only to new acts registered after the enactment. Another way to look at the thinking of government and their trial court counterparts is to consider the possibility of a new amendment of the law that makes murder cease to be a crime. Would this mean those who are in prison serving sentences already issued during the time when murder was a crime would be released and their convictions reversed? I highly doubt this is the way we would want our legal system to operate. Like Bonjean mentioned in her appeal submission, these matters of the law are time-bound and time is therefore of the essence. No American deserves to be innocent today as they operate their businesses, and to later be summoned as guilty tomorrow just because the government has suddenly changed their mind on how business should be operated. Finally, we look at the example of the computer misuse laws which have only evolved over the past decade, several years after computers were first operated and are still evolving. I am not sure the government is going back to catch those who operated computers before these laws only because the new laws have been enacted. According to Nancy, there is no doubt Bonjean is damn right when she refers to the statute of limitations at the time the alleged crimes are said to have been committed. In fact, the trial court should have listened to her early enough at the time she filed her pre-trial motion to avoid making such regrettable legal errors that are going to cost them a great deal. They ignored the laws of this land and surely, they will have to pay the price, and R. Kelly deserves an immediate acquittal on these particular counts like Bonjean puts it in her appeal submission. If government thought R. Kelly would be having bogus lawyers who would not notice this loophole, well, they were wrong. Jennifer Bonjean is an experienced and seasoned appellate attorney who would not miss such an opportunity to crack down on government excesses like she has always done. If your opponent has Bonjean as his attorney, you better do your legal perfectly and seamlessly. Otherwise you are bound to suffer the consequences of underestimating her vigilant eye and you could lose your case like just that. According to Lamisha, I was in fact disturbed a great deal to see allegations from as early as the 90s being returned to court now, especially when there was a 2008 trial where the accusers had the chance to bring out all this but instead chose to continue loving R. Kelly and enjoying his celebrity lifestyle they would kill for. It's funny that even as adults they continued to be with him, and yet now they wish to use their minor status as an excuse to get money from him in form of restitutions. Thanks to the statute of limitations, these women must not think that R. Kelly is a celebrity for them to extort whenever they please. If you wish to take part in a live interview discussing any of these topics, let us know by sending an email to sashalfnmedia@gmail.com for scheduling. Thank you for watching today's video, a production of LFN Media, giving you another perspective of issues at hand. We make it our business to keep you updated with the truth amidst the cloud of lies the media wants you to believe. It is therefore important to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and allow all notifications so that you don't miss out whenever we publish a new video.